Unit number two deals with the end is market failure. In market failure, there are three elements that we have to discuss. Number one, you need to know the basic definition of what market failure really is. Second, you have to discuss what are the causes of market failure. And lastly, we have to have a discussion on the consequence of market failure. Simple basic definition of market failure is that when demand and supply forces fails and they are inefficient in allocation of resources. This will arise when what? Number one, market fails to produce some types of goods and services. Generally यहाँ पे जब हमारा discussion होगा, we're going to talk about what do markets fail to provide. It's actually public goods. So in the early chapter when we were talking about types of goods, we did have a discussion on consumer goods, capital goods, public goods, merit goods, demerit goods. Another type of market failure is when markets fail to produce the quantities of goods required for social welfare. This is a situation when the market is producing certain goods and services on the basis of how much money they can make, but they ignore the society's overall welfare. This occurs in the case of merit and demerit goods. We'll talk about this in much more detail. So, what I'm going to do is first give you certain words and their definitions. Like, for example, so the first terminology that I want to explain is public goods. Now, generally, what happens is that few things that you need to know about public goods. Public goods, we say, are provided by the government. It has to be provided by the government because the case is markets will not produce this good because they cannot make profit on it. Why can't they make profit on it? So there are two categories through which you're going to define public good. Number one, public goods are non excludable and public goods are non rivalry. What do they mean? When I say public goods are non excludable, that means that there is no way to stop anyone from consumption once the good is provided. The best way to do this is, let me explain it to you through an example of a public good like street light. Street light is a public good. Why? Because once I put the street light, there is no way I can charge the cars which are passing by. I cannot stop them and say pay karo, then you can go through and you can see, use these street lights to see your way out of here. It's just impossible for me to do so. So when I cannot stop anyone and I cannot charge anyone, how will I make money as a private producer? It becomes impossible for me to charge people. And if I am able to charge anyone, what we say is consumers are smart enough to avoid paying this, because they know some people might pay for it, and some people know that if we don't pay for it or ek dafa street lights lag gayi, so we can always take advantage of that situation for free. Unfortunately, we say that every consumer is smart enough and nobody is going to pay for it. The private sector will never be able to make money on it. And therefore, public goods have to be provided by the government because markets will never ever produce it. The second definition, second category that needs to be there is that public goods like street lights are non rivalry. Rivalry or non rivalry means that once a good is consumed by one consumer, it does not finish or reduce for others. For example, if there is a chocolate bar and I consume it, it's gone, it's reduced. Others will have to eat another chocolate bar. That becomes rivalry. With street lights, if one car passes by, the light does not reduce or finish for the cars that are coming behind. It's plentiful, it's abundant. So, public goods are goods which are non excludable and non rivalry. And because it's non excludable, there is no way to charge people, and consumers are smart enough that if they don't pay for it and if the good is provided, we can just use it for free. That is the free rider problem, and therefore public good has to be provided by the government. There is no other alternative. So this is our first market failure, that markets do not produce public goods because they cannot charge money and make profit. Markets are to make profits. Because of the free rider problem, the market is going to fail and private sector will never ever produce public goods. Government has to provide it. Second type of good category that we have is merit goods. With merit goods are example of private goods. Private goods क्या होते हैं? Opposite of public goods. That means private goods yani merit goods are excludable. You can charge money and you can profit on it, and they are rivalry. Merit goods की जो definition है वो कुछ इस तरह से है. Merit goods को, if you were to define it, we say merit goods, it benefit those who pays for it and consumes it. Also, it benefits the third party. The thing with merit goods are they're not like biscuits that one person pays for it. I paid $10 for it, I got the biscuits, I ate it, I enjoyed it, fine. बट मेरी इस कंजम्पशन से किसी नॉन रिलेटेड बंदे को कोई फायदा नहीं हुआ. इट वॉज फॉर मी एंड मी ओनली. बट फॉर सम एग्जाम्पल्स लाइक एजुकेशन एंड हेल्थ केयर, these are examples of merit goods. Basically, with this, what happens is that I pay for my education and I get educated. I am going to get benefit of higher incomes in the future. ये तो मेरा फायदा हो गया for paying and consuming it. लेकिन एक अनरिलेटेड बंदे को इसमें ये फायदा हो रहा है सोसाइटी के अंदर कि now that I'm educated, I'm more productive and I'm making more kinds of goods and services. I'm making better quality goods and services. I'm starting business and I'm hiring more people in the society as a result of that. So मेरी एजुकेशन का फायदा सोसाइटी पे फॉल थ्रू करता है. उसी तरह से हेल्थ केयर, I pay the doctor, I get myself treated. Now that I'm healthy, I join the workforce and I'm more productive, I make more outputs, society can enjoy that more output. Unrelated party को मेरी अच्छी health से फायदा हो जाता है. You understand that? So, merit goods, government feels, are underproduced by the market because the markets do not care about these third party effects. The market failure is that markets only produce quantities which people can pay for and consume, and it ignores the third party effects. And in this case, the third party effect is actually positive. It's called positive externality. Positive externality. I'll give you the word and the definitions in just a moment. The third category of goods that are important for market failure is called the demerit goods. According to the government, demerit goods have some harmful effects on the society. Okay? Harmful could be in terms of health, in terms of it could be degradation in the society, it's degrading, like it could be gambling and prostitution, something like this. It destroys the social fabric, but it has a negative impact. So the way you're going to define a demerit good is that it benefit those who pay and consumes it. When I say benefit, I mean it creates some sort of utility satisfaction for them. That's why they're paying and getting, like for example, cigarettes. Consumers pay for it and they smoke it. It gives them some sort of utility. That's why they are consuming these things. Whether it's alcohol, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's gambling, prostitution, whether it's drugs, people are paying and consuming it because it derives some sort of satisfaction, benefit for them. However, it has a harmful effect on the third party. So that's obviously the problem with cigarettes, alcohol. So, what is the market failure then? Well, the market failure is that the market failure is that it ignores the harmful effect and produces the quantities which people are willing to pay for. So, for merit goods, there is an underproduction of these goods by the private sector, and in demerit goods, there is an overproduction of these goods because ये यहाँ पे जो consumption में जो harmful effects हैं, those are actually called negative externalities. Okay, they're called negative externalities. Merit goods are underproduced while demerit goods are overproduced.